And yes, we are live in the Greene Space, continuing our celebration of International Women's Day here on WQXR with a live concert featuring performers who are going to give us a range of music by women from the 19th, 20th, and 21st centuries. To begin, we have a young trio from the Juilliard Honors Chamber Music Program. The Weome Trio was founded in 2017 at the Juilliard School, and they have already performed in prestigious venues around New York City, including the Metropolitan Museum, the Peter J. Sharp Theater, and Paul Hall at Lincoln Center. They have also recently played in Juilliard's music festival that highlights women composers of the 20th century. This afternoon, they are playing a work by American composer Amy Beach. So please welcome the Vuillaume Trio. And a few facts. About Amy Beach. She was born in New Hampshire. She was a child prodigy with perfect pitch. She started composing at age 4 and published her first song at age 13. She was a highly talented pianist, and when she got married, her husband, though, only allowed her 2 public performances a year, and any money that she earned had to be donated to charity. He did, however, encourage her to spend more time composing, and she did that by complete self-study. She memorized whole scores and copied them down, and that's how she taught herself. And in 1896, her Gaelic Symphony was the first symphony by an American woman to be published, and it was premiered by the Boston Symphony Orchestra. On stage is the Vuillaume Trio from the Juilliard Honors Chamber Music Program, performing Amy Beach's Piano Trio, her Opus 150, live on WQXR from the Greene Space. Music by Amy Beach, who broke gender barriers to become one of America's preeminent composers of the late 19th and early 20th century. And we want to thank the Weome Trio for that performance of Amy Beach's piano trio, Opus 150, composed in 1938, here live in the Jerome L. Greene performance space. So another round of applause. And just terrific. Just to introduce everyone, pianist Johanna Elizabeth Buffler, cellist Sebastian Stoger, and violinist Jiming Tang. So just a few words with Johanna. When did you first learn about Amy Beach and her music?
A piano professor at Juilliard, Professor Joel Sachs, approached us and told us about this piece, and we originally didn't know about Amy Beach. We were thinking about playing Clara Schumann, who's also a great female composer. And so we came across Amy Beach and fell in love, and then that's how we learned the piece. And now in this series at WQXR, it just happened that we were chosen because it was really well-fitting. But we have been working on this for quite a while now. Yeah.
What do you enjoy about her music? What surprises you about her music?
There's not something that specifically surprises me about her music. It's just as inherent what great composers have. It's just, it speaks to you. So in her writing, it's this kind of innocent, kind of exploring different facets of music. So you have these lyric lines and almost Russian style, very rhapsodic-like climaxes, and also contrapuntal openings, and then you heard like the Debussy French opening. So she explores a lot of different styles, and one cannot get tired of her.
It was a terrific performance. Now, assuming all of you met at Juilliard, why did you want to form a piano trio?
I think we all agree that we just really like the piano trio. We didn't sit down and say, yes, no, let's do a piano trio. It didn't happen that way. We happen to be really close friends outside the classroom, and we hang out a lot, and we just like each other, and happens that piano trio is fitting for us, yeah.
Now, you recently performed in a festival at Juilliard called Trailblazers, Pioneering Women of the 20th Century. Did you hear composers at that festival that made you want to learn more about their music?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Should I name a few people? There are a lot of them. For instance, Caroline Shaw, she's a great inspiration to all of us musicians, and I don't want to emphasize enough how I don't think we have to separate women, because they're just as great as male composers. So I think just any female composer that writes great is just great. And so in this festival, there were a lot of great composers, and of course we were inspired, and that's why we participated.
Okay, well, thank you once again, Weome Trio. Thank you very much for your performance today. And we are live in the Jerome L. Greene Space today with an all-woman composer marathon on this International Women's Day, and I'm Annie Bergen. And now we're going to welcome to the stage a singer who has been noted by the New York Times for her vocal versatility and an omnivorous curiosity, and you're going to hear that in the pieces that she's going to sing for you today. Lucy Dhegrae is currently one of WQXR's 20 for 20 artists to watch. Lucy is currently in residence at National Sawdust in Brooklyn, where she's presenting a series of concerts about how music can address the aftermaths of trauma. Very interesting program. And she is also the founder and director of the Resonant Bodies Festival, an annual series of concerts that features groundbreaking contemporary vocalists. Please welcome Lucy Dhegrae and pianist Nathaniel Lanasa to the Greene Space. And the program is works by two contemporary female composers. First, we'll hear from California-based composer Lea Maria Villarreal. Villarreal has written for film, dance, opera, and the concert hall, and she's also co-founder of a contemporary music ensemble, Hotel Elephant. This is from Crossing the Rubicon with singer Lucy Dhegrae along with pianist Nathaniel Lanassa. We're live on WQXR from the Jerome L. Greene Performance Space. Okay, that was a work from Crossing the Rubicon by Lea Maria Villarreal, and singer Lucy Dhegrae was accompanied by pianist Nathaniel Lanassa. Very interesting piece, really. You are a champion of contemporary music. What is it like, and what do you enjoy about the process of working with contemporary composers?
I think for me, what's really exciting is being a part of the creative process. So it's not this transaction where someone is handing you a piece and they write it at home and then they just go boop, and then you, like a computer, just kind of spit it out. There's dialogue, and they're thinking of you when they're creating the piece, so you really get to be a part of it and bring something new to it. Yeah.
And why have you really are, you have an affinity for new music? What's so appealing about it for you?
I mean, I just really love being a part of the people and the community and the exchange that's happening and creating into the future, being a part of what's going to come, and being a creator.
And today we are celebrating women composers. Do you often think about material in terms of a male or female perspective?
For sure. Yes, especially with this series that I'm doing at National Sawdust. One reason that I wanted to commission new works is because there is actually a lot of a lot of music that's been written, especially in opera, about sexual violence, but not from the female perspective.
So tell us more about that series at National Sawdust. What exactly are you exploring?
So I'm an artist in residence. I get 4 concerts to do what I want, which is very generous of National Sawdust to do. And I'm exploring the response to trauma rather than the trauma itself, which is what most art kind of tends to focus on, which is where, as a society, I think also we tend to focus, is we can never move past what happened because it's so traumatic. So I'm looking at the recovery process. What does that look like? Is it ever done? You know, how does it spiral forwards or backwards or around?
And you're doing that by commissioning works from contemporary composers?
Yeah. So each concert has one composer as the focus, and then I'm kind of curating other works around it. And in the March concert, March 28th, which is the next one, which I have to see all of you at, I will actually be devising a lot of kind of theatrical and musical material to accompany it.
Great. So the next piece we're going to hear is by contemporary composer and Pulitzer Prize winner Caroline Shaw. Can you tell us about this work?
Yeah, so this is called Stars in My Crown, and I first heard this actually when I was kind of researching for Resonant Bodies Festival Devon Tynes, and there was this beautiful video of Devon performing this in like a barn at sunrise at Ojai Festival, and everyone was just going crazy. And even, you know, it's hard to capture things on video, but even watching that, you're just like, wow, this is so powerful. And so I had the great pleasure of having Devon on Resonant Bodies. And then Caroline was on Resonant Bodies the next year, and she performed this piece with Andrew, who will be joining me on cello. And I had the pleasure of doing this with string quartet, so now I'm getting to do it with Andrew. So, you know, it's kind of had this nice little ride in my life.
It's a beautiful work, so let's welcome cellist Andrew Yee to the stage to join Lucy Dhegrae to perform this piece by Caroline Shaw. Cellist Andrew Yee is a member of the Ataka Quartet, which just won a Grammy for Best Chamber Music Small Ensemble Performance for their CD Orange, featuring the music of Caroline Shaw.
I'm thinking today of that beautiful land I shall reach when the sun goeth down, when through wonderful grace by my Savior I stand. Will there be any stars in my crown? Will there be any stars in my crown? When at evening the sun goeth down, will I wake with the blessed in those mansions of rest? Will there be any stars in my crown? In the strength of the Lord, let me labor and pray. Let me watch as a winner of souls, that bright stars may be mine in that glorious day. Will there be any stars in my crown? Will there be any stars in my crown? Will I wake with the blessed in those mansions of rest? Will there be any stars in my crown? What a joy will be when his face I behold, living gems at his feet to lay down. It would sweeten my bliss in that city of gold, should there be any stars in my crown. Will there be any stars in my crown, when at evening the sun goeth down? When I wake with the blessed in those mansions of rest. Will there be any stars in my crown?
That's Stars in the Crown from a larger work called By and by composer Caroline Shaw, performed for us on this International Women's Day, live in the Greene Space by Lucy Dhegrae, with Andrew Yee playing cello. And once again, a reminder that Lucy is appearing at National Sawdust in Brooklyn on March 28th. Thank you very much, Lucy, Andre, and Nathaniel. We're live in the Greene Space today and on WQXR with an all-women composer marathon celebrating International Women's Day, and I'm Annie Bergen. This is how the Washington Post described our next guest. Call it star quality. Music likes Kern the way the camera likes Garbo. Russian pianist Olga Kern was born into a family of musicians, and she has direct links to Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff. She won first prize at the age of 17 at the Tchaikovsky competition, and she came to prominence in the US when she won gold in the Van Cliburn competition. That was in 2001. She was the first woman to do that in more than 30 years. And since that time, she has had a stellar career, traveling the globe for recitals and performing as a soloist with the world's best orchestras. Olga also runs the Olga Kern International Competition in New Mexico and a program called Aspirations for Young Musicians. And she is going to play works by Fanny Mendelssohn Hensel, May and September, from her piano suite based on the months of the year. So please, a big welcome for Olga Kern. two pieces from Fanny Mendelssohn Hensel's The Year, depicting the months of the year. And we heard May and September, and I understand the Mendelssohn family were on vacation in Rome at the time when it was kind of a musical souvenir, those works. Olga Kern, thank you for that beautiful performance. So we mentioned that you have a direct link to Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff. What's the story?
Actually, it's not direct, but my family, my great-grandmother, she was a singer, and she was a good friend of Rachmaninoff, and she had a mezzo-soprano voice, and she was performing a lot of Rachmaninoff songs, and she and him, they performed together many times. And in Rachmaninoff's memoirs, of 2 books of memoirs, there is a special written specific places, dates, and the places where they were performing together. And her mom, my great-great-grandmother, she was a pianist and a very good friend of Tchaikovsky, and we have absolutely unique letters and photos from Tchaikovsky to her. And some of the letters and specifically photos are at the Tchaikovsky Museum in Moscow right now, so my grandfather gave it to the museum.
Fantastic. When did you start introducing works by women composers into your performances?
Actually, I played quite a lot of Clara Schumann an earlier time of my career, and I absolutely love her music. I always wanted to play Fanny Mendelssohn, especially her cycle, the year, because actually Tchaikovsky was inspired by this work because it's all 12 months to write his seasons, the very famous seasons. So she was the one who was the first one who actually wrote this, and it's fantastic pieces, really. And I chose to play this too because May is my mom's birthday. I really wanted to dedicate it to her because today is Women's Day. And then September is my grandmother's birthday. She's unfortunately already passed away, but she is my mom's mom. So that I wanted to dedicate it to them. And the next piece is my favorite, Clara Schumann, so I'll play. It's for me.
All right, we'll hear that in just a minute. So where actually is home for you?
New York. And my son is a pianist as well, and he is studying at Juilliard, so he's a New Yorker.
Great. Because you have a piano competition in New Mexico, is it? And why did you want to do that?
Actually, it just happened. I had no idea that it will happen. But I am very often, actually, every year a guest with the symphony there, with New Mexico Philharmonic. And it just happened that 6 years ago, one of the donors, very important supporters of the orchestra, came to me and said that they would like to start something for the education, some project, because in Santa Fe, there is the opera festival, there is a chamber music series, but in Albuquerque, they don't have anything. And this is how everything started. They wanted my name. I said, you know, if we will really help young pianists with their career, and we are doing it, you know, we give concerts to them. So it's really special for me, and it became kind of my baby. I'm artistic director, and I'm doing a lot of things for the competition, and it's just was a second competition last year, 2019, so it's every 3 years. So next is 2022.
Okay, great. Okay, we're going to continue with the program, and the next piece is going to be by Clara Schumann. You said this one's for you. Tell us about that.
This piece is from her 4 pieces. It's called Fugitive Pieces. It's like a wind. It's so beautiful, but it just goes so fast that you don't even feel that you are in this world. She could do that to us. I think she was such a genius in many things. She's a genius pianist and a woman, and also a composer. She was really fantastic. So I really wanted to play it for myself because I play her music quite a lot. And the last piece, if I may say, is Amy Beach, a wonderful little piece. When I first I played Amy's composition for violin. And I never played anything for piano, and she wrote so many wonderful pieces. And this one is a perfect encore because it's a real chipmunk. You will hear it in this music. It's called Petersburg's Chipmunk. And it's incredible how she wrote a few bars, and then it's like the chipmunks is running, and then it stops. And there is a fermata written. Then it's another few bars, then it stops again, it's another fermata. So you feel it in the music, and it's really fantastic. And I wanted to perform her music. I started to be a director of Virginia Arts Festival, a chamber music series. And it's my second year this year in April and May. And I wanted to bring also a few women. Last year I brought Tasmin Little, which was fantastic violinist. And then I want to bring more women to the festival and play more women's composers because it's really fantastic music.
All right, thank you, Olga Kern. We're going to hear Clara Schumann, one of her fugitive pieces, and Amy Beach's A Peterborough Chipmunk, live from the Greene Space on WQXR. Pianist Olga Kern with works by Amy Beach and Clara Schumann. Olga is headed to Europe in a few days for concerts in Iceland. Tomorrow. Oh, excellent. And Germany. Good luck with those. And thank you so much, Olga Kern. We are live in the Greene Space here at WQXR on a day we're celebrating all women composers. It's International Women's Day, and I'm Annie Bergen. And this is Classical New York, 105.9 FM and HD, WQXR Newark, and 90.3 FM, WQXW Ossining. Our final guest has been called one of the world's most remarkable singers by the Boston Globe. Tenor Nick Phan has performed recitals and operas around the world. He's been nominated for a Grammy, and he is also the artistic director of the Collaborative Arts Institute in Chicago. This season, he's participating in the New York Philharmonic's Project 19 initiative, and that is celebrating the 100th year of the 19th Amendment, a commission of 19 pieces by female composers, so yay, New York Philharmonic. And Nick is also one of WQXR's 20 for 20 artists to watch this year. Pianist Myra Huang is a frequent collaborator with Nicholas, performing on 5 of his CDs, and the New York Times calls her a coloristic tour de force. Nick has just released his 6th solo album. It's called Clairière with Myra, and it features the music of the sisters, Lili and Nadia Boulanger. Now, these two were some of the most influential composers and teachers of the 20th century. Some of Nadia Boulanger's students included Aaron Copland, Elliott Carter, Philip Glass, and Quincy Jones. And her sister Lili was the first woman to win the prestigious Prix de Rome Composition Prize in 1913. So we're going to hear some of their music today, so please welcome Nick Phan and pianist Myra Huang to WQXR and the Greene Space. And we'll first hear 3 works by Nadia Boulanger.
We'll get there. All right. Dedicated to all the women who had to wait.
Versailles, par cet après-midi fanny, pourquoi ton souvenir m'obsède-t-il ainsi? Pourquoi ainsi? Les ardeurs de l'été si loin, et voici que s'incline vers nous la saison surannée. Feuillage arroussi, puis respire encore la soir d'or adouci. Ta beauté plus touchante au déclin de la nuit. ainsi d'anciens désirs qui passent, encore du songe de lasser, encore des rêves qui se lassent. Voilà les jours d'espoir passés. Oh, qu'il faut-il fuir aujourd'hui? Il n'y a plus d'étoiles aucune, mais de la glace sur l'ennui. L'image bleue sur la lune. Encore des sanglots pris au piège. Voyez les malades sans feu, et les agneaux portent la neige. Ayez pitié de tout, mon Dieu. Moi, j'attends un peu de réveil. Moi, j'attends que le sommeil passe. Moi, j'attends un peu de soleil sur mes mains, que la lune glace. La mer est plus belle que les cathédrales. Nourrice fidèle, berceuse de râles. La mer sur qui brille la Vierge Marie. Elle a tous les dons terribles et doux. J'entends ses pardons grandir, ses courroux. Cette immensité n'a rien d'audible. Voici passé même qu'on m'y chante. Ma souffle ami, porte la vague et nous chante. Amour sans espérance, mourir sans souffrance.
Three beautiful songs by Nadia Boulanger with tenor Nicholas Phan and pianist Myra Huang on WQXR. We're live in the Greene Space. Those were gorgeous. Tell us what we heard.
So we just heard three songs by Nadia Boulanger. The first was called Versailles, and it's sort of a reminiscence about Versailles, the place, and sort of enjoying its faded elegance, so to speak. And then the second one is called Stagnant Hours. It's sort of about waiting for something to happen, anything to happen, and it's not happening. But it's such a beautiful evocation of that because you hear that really long introduction that Myra plays so beautifully. And it's funny, the right hand really just goes nowhere. It's just sort of hanging around F and kind of minor variations in between there. But it's an incredible song. And then the last one is called La Mer, which is about the beauty of the sea and the majesty of the sea.
Beautifully sung and played. Thank you so much. So your new album, Clairière, is devoted to the music of Nadia and Lili Boulanger. Why did you want to explore and record these two composers?
So in 2018, Myra and I gave a recital at the Herbst Theater in San Francisco for San Francisco performances. And that program was focused on sort of French music of the Belle Époque. And we were kind of populating it with your sort of standard people from that era that we all know very well, Debussy, Fauré, Hahn, Satie. But we also were thinking, let's kind of push beyond. And we started looking at these Lili Boulanger songs, and we programmed a good chunk of them on that recital, and that's sort of where the fascination began. And that's where I also discovered that it was the 100th anniversary of Lili Boulanger's passing. So I was kind of wondering why more people weren't observing that anniversary, and so it just sort of made it feel more urgent to kind of put them on that recital program. And then from there, the minute we started rehearsing these, we thought we have to record these, and that led to discovering more about her sister, Nadia, as well. And so we wanted to make this album that sort of honored their music. They tend to be overlooked a lot by history because of their gender. They sort of are remembered as these people who did a thing. They accomplished this thing for their gender, but no one looks at their music. And we wanted to make sure that the music wasn't lost in that story, even though that story is very important to tell.
Can you talk a little bit about the poetry in the pieces, because that is really important as well?
Yeah, so the style at this time was symbolism, and a lot of that has to do with sort of alluding to things through nuance and sort of sitting with the vagueness of emotion. And both sisters were drawn to this a lot. The poems in the first set that you just heard were by Paul Verlaine, who was, a very colorful character. Google him if you don't know him. But he was sort of the leader of that movement. That's the last song. That poem was by him. There's also the middle song, The Stagnant Hours, is a poem by Maeterlinck, who was the librettist for Péléas et Mélisande and was also a major figure at that time. So they were all sort of interacting with each other, and these poets were really pushing the composers aesthetically as well. I mean, that's sort of why so much of French music from that period kind of alludes to things, and people call it impressionism, and I mean, that's not quite exactly right, but it sort of feels that way because you do sort of just get impressions of things that's sort of hazy and vague and not quite defined.
And you have been working with Myra Huang for quite a while. She's been your collaborator for many, many, many years now. What makes you two click? What makes for the great collaboration?
Well, I think we've been, I think we're celebrating our 20-year friendship anniversary. Wow. And we've been working together since out of grad school. But I think that sometimes the thing that makes you click is a totally intuitive thing. You can't really say why exactly. But of course, there's so many things that make sense. I think our musicianship, we're just always breathing the same way, and our rehearsals are very efficient, very minimal talking, because we just really feel things together. And it's such a joy. Yeah.
It's that sort of magical mind meld you feel with great chamber music. That's actually quite rare. And so I feel very lucky to have found you.
I think you're very lucky. You did really beautiful music together. So next in the spotlight is Lili Boulanger, younger sister of Nadia?
So Lili was the younger sister of Nadia. Nadia trailblazed because she entered this major competition called the Rome Prize in Paris, and she was the first person, or no, the second woman to win a prize, but she won second place, or they had this very complicated prizing system. Her sister, Lili, wanted to follow in her bigger sister's footsteps, and she won the main prize, and she was the first woman to win the main prize. And she went on, as a result, to be taken quite seriously as a composer, which for French women was a first. I mean, just to give you some perspective, that was 1913, and French women did not win the right to vote until 1944. Wow. Yeah, it's shocking. So she was quite a trailblazer, but the tragic thing is that she was always sort of sickly and frail, and the kind of her efforts in the war movement in World War I to support her friends at the front, on top of all of the compositional requirements she had, really exhausted her and kind of sapped the life force out of her. And so she died at this tragically young age of 24. So the songs you're about to hear they were premiered actually a week before her death, even though she was working on them in the last few years. And it's from a song cycle called Clairières dans le ciel, which means clearings in the sky. And there are 13 songs. We're going to do 4 today. And the songs basically reminisce on the sort of loss of a love. And this young man clearly fell in love with an amazing woman, and she moved on to a more amazing man, apparently. And he's mourning that loss. But he's also reminiscing, and there's some nice memories in there as well.
Great. Tenor Nick Phan and pianist Myra Huang, live from the Greene Space on WQXR.
Descendu au bas de la prairie, et comme la prairie était toute fleurie de plantes, dont la tige m'a poussé dans l'eau, ces plantes inondées, je les avais cueillies. C'est envoyé, elle gagna le haut de cette prairie-là, qui était toute fleurie. Elle riait et s'ébrouillait avec la grâce des jeunes les jeunes filles trop grandes. Elle avait le regard qu'ont les fleurs nous assoirons sur ce banc, tous deux seuls. Dans le moment où mon ami Les lilas qui avaient fleuri l'année dernière vont fleurir de nouveau dans les tristes parterres. Déjà, le péché grêle a jonché le ciel bleu de ses roses. Comme un enfant, la fête a dit. Mon cœur devrait mourir au milieu de ces choses, car c'était au milieu des vergers blancs
Okay, 4 beautiful songs by Lili Boulanger, sung by tenor Nick Phan and pianist Myra Huang. Just gorgeous. Thank you so much. Live here in the Jerome L. Greene Performance Space. Again, thank you. Beautiful. That finishes up our live broadcast from the Greene Space today. Want to thank all our performers today and get them all back on stage right now. Pianist Olga Kern, with Andrew Yee and Nathaniel Lassa, with singer Lucy Dhegrae, the Weome Trio, and of course, Nick Phan and Myra Huang. I want to thank everyone for coming, and to the staff of the Greene Space, also to Steinway for the beautiful piano. And I think we've all come away with a greater appreciation of the talents of so many great women composers, past and present. So thank you, everyone. And happy International Women's Day. And our marathon of women composers now continues on the radio for the rest of the day. So we're going to return to the studios up there, where Cleo Dalfrez will persist with the all-women celebration on WQXR. Thank you again.